everyone, it's Tori, and today I want to talk about something a little bit different. Funny story, I've started this video like 3 or 4 different times, and every time I question, who am I to make this video? Which is exactly the reason I should make this video. So today I'm going to be talking to you about self-confidence, believing in yourself, and imposter syndrome. Now, I will tell you, I am an expert in all of these areas, not because I've gone to school, not because I have training, but because I've spent most of my life with very low, crippling self-esteem. I've always struggled with it. I've never felt like I was good enough or that I was living up to the expectations that were placed upon me by myself, by the way. I've never been, I have an amazing dad who always made me feel super smart, but it was just something that I placed upon myself. A bit of a perfectionist, 100%. So a story to kind of illustrate this. So a really long time ago, I was a singer-songwriter, and I was really excited. Bill and I went to see one of my favorite artists at the time, Lisa Loeb. And we were in a small venue, we were front row, she was right there, she said hi, we made eye contact. It should have been the most amazing experience of my life. Instead, I spent the entire time comparing myself to her. I, looked at everything she had done and the way that she was playing music and the way that she had grown who she was as an artist, and I felt like that was never going to be me. I was never going to be able to be her. And so sadly, I actually gave up songwriting, and I did a little bit more later on down the way, but it was kind of that pivotal moment where I said, okay, well, I'm not going to be that good, so I just shouldn't do it. And that's awful. That is an awful feeling for us to have. And the reason I really wanted to talk about it today is because having this imposter syndrome, and imposter syndrome is something that has been coined, I think, in 1978. 2 women did a study. It's not actually a syndrome, by the way. It is more like a feeling that you get, but we refer to it as imposter syndrome. Well, it's that feeling you get where you just aren't good enough, or you're never going to be good enough, or you're a fraud. And I've seen a lot of people out there that are feeling this way, in the reselling community, or as a woman, or as a man, or even just in society in general. And so I really thought that this would be a great time just to share my experience, because one thing I also get a lot of is people saying to me, I wish I had your confidence, or I wish I had your drive, I wish I could be more like you. And these are all scary things to say, because in the moment, when you say this to another person, you feel like it's complimentary. And, it is. I'm not thinking there was any sort of ill intent or anything there, but you need to know the whole story. So I'm looking at people who are doing things that I want to do, and I start to get that little knot in my chest that says, should you really be doing this? And the answer is yes, 100%. So a couple of tips I wanted to share with you if you start to feel this. If you start to look at other, people in whatever industry you're working in. I focus specifically on reselling because that's where I spend a lot of my time. But when I was in the banking industry, which I did for a very, very long time, I was constantly in a state of feeling like a fraud. Every day I went to work, I didn't understand the way, money worked, or I did though. I mean, that's the thing. I did understand it, but other people always, nope. I let other people make me feel like I was not, smart enough, or I didn't know enough about it. So I want to make sure that I share some tips with you all to maybe help even one of you out there know that this is common. It's 70% of the population at some point feels imposter syndrome. 70%. So at any given point, you could be talking to, your PFF online, or your best friend who lives next door, and they may be struggling with these feelings as well. So some of the things that we can do to really help each other through this is, number one, talk about it. I mean, with anything, if you don't talk about it, people start to think that it's, specific to them. Back in the day, no one was talking about this for me. I'm 43 years old. I've been in many different industries. I have been around for a hot minute. And we just never talked about it. So now I feel like, one of the things that I like to do is really bring to the forefront these things that we aren't talking about, whether that's money, whether it's talking about personal situations, or, in this case, feeling like a fraud in self-worth. So number one, talking about it is gonna make the biggest difference. So if you're having those feelings, share it with someone you feel close to. If you don't have someone that you feel close enough to talk about it, find a group, find a network, find a community, find a therapist. Honestly, I have not ever gone to a therapist. It's not that I feel that there's anything wrong with it, but I know that it can be beneficial. So find someone just to share your experiences with. And I feel that for me, just being able to talk about it with all of you out there has made a big difference. Also, surrounding yourself with people that build you up. That's the other thing, is I have always been a person that, I get into a group and I can talk to a lot of different people. Does it mean that they make me feel good about myself? Not at all. So I have, in the last 10 years, found some of the most important people in my entire life. In fact, even in the last year, I found a really strong group that builds me up every single day. If I'm questioning something, they are always there to say, you've got this, you can do this. Great example. A lot of people have been asking me to share how I style my photos or how I edit my videos. And, with those things, I know other people are out there doing it. And I'm thinking, well, who wants to hear from me? Who am I? And again, just having those other voices outside of your own saying, you can do it and you should do it. So number one, talk about it. Number two, surround yourself with people who will build you up. Number three, and this may seem really silly, but start making a list of all of your accomplishments. Because the thing with imposter syndrome, we think that it's luck. It's luck. The reason we're successful or the reason we get where we are is because we're lucky. When it's not. There is no luck involved. Well, there might be a little luck in some situations, but write down all the things you've accomplished. It took me a very, very long time. I am the first to say I am such a late bloomer when it comes to everything, and feeling that confidence and feeling, the job that I have now, I've only been in for, I want to say almost 4 years, but I went into that position. I asked for my salary. I got it. Gave me confidence. I worked with great people who surrounded me with this positivity and helped me feel great about what I was doing. I have constantly asked for what I felt I was worth. And to this day, it's probably why I'm so happy, because I am in an environment that I've created. I feel confident, but it took a long time to get there. So I just want to share so that you know that even if you're having those moments, feel free. You can email me, you can DM me on Instagram. I am always here to give you a boost of confidence because I think that it's important. This time of year, we're going into 2020. We're heading into a new year. A lot of people are making resolutions. And resolutions are great. They can be. I'm not a big resolution person, but the thing is, if you make them, but you haven't addressed those underlying issues, you're probably not going to be successful at those either. So make a list of all the things you've done in 2019 or up to this point, look back on those and really say, hey, I'm proud of what I did. Because I think that that's super important. And then one last thing that I want to say, just to help in this area, is if something doesn't make you feel good, okay? And you don't have to feel bad about this. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest. So as someone who is a content creator and an entrepreneur and a videographer and I wear so many different hats, there are certain people on social media that I can't follow. And it's not because they're bad people. It's not because they're doing anything wrong at all. But when I follow their journey, it starts to make me feel a little down about myself. And again, that's internal. That has nothing to do with them. In fact, none of this is really external. It really has to do with your own, the person that you are and how you're responding. So sometimes you just have to shut it down. So it's not that I've unfollowed some of these people. I have just, kind of taken a step back from being constantly inundated with all of the things going on within certain communities. And so, yeah, I don't watch a lot of YouTube content, which as a content creator probably seems a little strange, but the content that I watch on YouTube, I watch creators that are completely different than me. I rarely watch YouTube or reseller related content unless they're, like my best friends that I really want to support. And that is okay. That's what I want to tell you. If it doesn't make you feel good, if it's constantly making you question yourself, figure out why, and sometimes you just have to shut it down for a little bit. So that is it. That's really all I wanted to come on here and say. I can't believe I finally actually made it through this video, but it's real. And don't feel bad. If you have any questions or you want to have any comments about what your experience have been with, imposter syndrome, put those down in the comments. I'd love to start a conversation in our group here on, what you've experienced and maybe ways that you've helped yourself overcome it. I think that that's an important step as well. And this is focused on everybody. This isn't just, women having imposter syndrome, men, women, non-binary, everybody, gets this feeling. And so it's really important that we talk about it. So that's it. Thank you for joining me today. We will resume our reseller related content very soon. New exciting changes coming for 2020. Subscribe if you want to see all these upcoming exciting things happening. And that's it for today. All right, until next time, everybody. See ya!